Alright, in this video I'm going to be talking about Kum's axe kick or Hayabusa, and I'm going to be giving some tips for Kum players for how to use this better, and also some tips for people who are playing against Kum, want to learn how to get around it. So let's dive right into that. So the first thing we're going to talk about are the specifics of the move. So axe kick is a 13 frame startup move, moves you forward quite a bit. It has 5 active frames, so you can tag people at the very end to make yourself safer. A blue version is -5 on block, so that means you can get punished by a few things, but we're going to talk about that later. And the red version is +3 on block. So Hayabusa has quite a few usages. One of them, a really simple one, is just a way to move forward. You can use it just to quickly advance. It's kind of risky because of how long the move lasts, but you could also RC it if you want to get a lot of distance. It costs a meter. Another thing you can use it for is to catch people jumping or trying to mash out of your pressure. At certain distances, which we're going to talk about a bit later as well, you can really try to get people to jump or make them want to make a move and then catch them with one of these. And the last thing it can be used for is counter poking. The hitbox, Kum's hurtbox, moves back slightly as the leg lifts, so you can use it to stay just outside of someone's range and poke them back with it. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the differences between the blue kick and the red kick. The blue kick, while faster, won't get you as much reward, while the red kick, although it takes time to charge, can get you really explosive amounts of rewards from it. So on normal hit, a blue kick won't give you anything unless you're able to RC it. On a normal red kick, however, you can get a knockdown. So on block at point blank range, axe kick is very punishable. I can confirm that into a knockdown. However, at mid range, it can become safer and safer because of the active frames. And if really well spaced, it can be completely safe. So red kicks will always be plus and always be safe. No matter what the distance, they'll always be totally safe because they're +3. Even if you instant block them, they will still be safe. So ideally what you want to do is you want to have a well-spaced red kick, so then you can capitalize on having a massive frame advantage against someone. If they try mashing out, you can just hit them back with almost any button and you'll get a counter hit. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the counter hit versions of the blue kick and the red kick. So these are what makes this move really scary. It's one of the reasons a lot of people don't like mashing out against it, while they'll respect it a lot. And so we'll go through those right now. Alright, so a blue kick counter hit can get you a knockdown. At closer ranges, you can get a kick loop actually. But at farther ranges, you're better off just going for the knockdown. So a counter hit red kick will always give you kick loops if you're able to react fast enough to it. It wall bounces, so you should have plenty of time to react to it. If they're in the air for either of these, the red one will still wall bounce, however a blue kick will just knock them straight down. So you can still get the knockdown from a blue kick counter hit if they're jumping, and for an air version, if they're jumping at you and you get the red counter hit, you will still get kick loops from it. Alright, so we're going to talk about the use of Hayabusa in your strings. Basically, Hayabusa is really essential for Haehyun's pressure because it gives Haehyun a way to get back in, right in their faces, right where you want to be, to poke them or to punish them for pushing buttons. So an example of Hayabusa pressure could be you run up, you push them back, and then you close the gap again with Hayabusa. And again, we're at good range so that I can punish them. However, there's some problems with this. If you do the Hayabusa way too close to them, then you're going to get punished because blue Hayabusa is negative. That's one of the things about it. So if you do your string way too close to them, they're going to mash out and you're going to get punished. Ideally, you're going to want to put your strings at such a way that you're going to be safe or almost even when you end your string. That's the very basic principle for blue Hayabusa pressure. Okay, so one of the things I don't want you to take away from this is that is the one and only way to do Hayabusa pressure. You shouldn't always just be going up and doing the exact same string. because when they're going to get smart, they're going to blitz, and then you're going to be punished, or they're going to insta-block. It's really easily telegraphed. So get in your head that that is not the only way to do things. Hayabusa is really about trying to bait out something, make a reaction happen from them, or to get them to respect it. If they're going to respect everything, you're going to keep your pressure up for days with red kicks. They're not going to be able to punish you because you're going to be plus. However, if they start seeing you're only going for red kicks, they're going to mash out. If they see you're only going for blue kicks, they're going to block it. So thinking critically about Hayabusa is knowing what Hayabusa to use for what situation. So essentially there's 3 types of Hayabusas you're going to be using. So the basic one is just the uncharged version, which you can just throw out at the end of strings, throw out in neutral to catch things. Then there's the slightly charged one, which you can use to try to catch people who react a little slower or delay before they mash. And then there is the full charged one. So each of these has their own purpose, and knowing how to use them properly will take your game a lot further. Alright, so here's going to be an example of using Hayabusa on your strings to punish people. So at the very end, I made Kum seem like the pressure was over, but then you use a Hayabusa to catch people if they try to mash out. You can use it to whiff punish because Hayabusa's hurt box moves back. It's a really good tool to use at the end of your strings in that way. You can either catch people with normal hits or counter hits, just be able to react appropriately. So another way to use Hayabusas is to use it to just have relentless pressure, and this often comes when you're in the corner. So an example of this would be like, I'm standing here. This is practically ideal Hayabusa range. It'll beat a lot of people's buttons because buttons like far slashes will often whiff, and you can jump right in and have the later frames of Hayabusa hit them. One of the advantages of this position is that you can keep doing Hayabusa a few times until you become way too close to them, and then you'll get punished for that. However, using Hayabusa into Hayabusa is a pretty valid strat sometimes, especially if someone's got stubby buttons and can't really punish you after the first, and if the first hit's late enough, you'll be safe. So just thinking about when you're going to use that can really make your pressure seem disgustingly oppressive, unfair to play against, and if you toss in buttons after it as well, people are really going to hate you. Alright, so the risk of Hayabusa is that if you're way too close to them, or even sometimes if you are spacing it right, they just block it, you're going to be giving up your pressure. And ways to avoid that are doing this really scummy thing like mashing right after Hayabusa. And that seems really dumb because you'd be like, wow, I'm already negative and I'm pushing a button, but 2P is absolutely ridiculous. This button is absolutely nuts. This stuff will counter hit people when you're in their face and negative. Using this properly can get you some really disgusting resets and allow you to continue your pressure or even get a knockdown off a counter hit 2P. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to be talking about in this video is some of the counterplay to Hayabusa, or ways to get around it. So I think the 3 biggest threats when I go for Hayabusa is going to be a just block, a blitz, or a character specific 6P. Those are in no specific order. Alright, so with just blocks, these are one of the bigger threats, especially if you're not very good with spacing your Hayabusas. If you're spacing yours mid or way too close to them, a just block will almost always get you punished. If you're able to space it a bit further away, a just block will have you a little closer, but you may still be safe. Ideally, you just don't want to be playing against an opponent who can just block you when you're at a very close range to them, because then their buttons will definitely beat you because you will be -5, -6, maybe even up to a -8. Another big threat is blitzing, because Hayabusa is a very telegraphed move. So when people see that come out, a lot of times they'll wait for it to go active and then they'll just blitz. And this will beat you a lot of times. Even you can charge it up a bit. But the way for a Kum player to get around this is to charge longer or try to get through the RPS, or maybe sit at a range where that blitz charge won't go all the way and be able to punish that with the very end of a charge. So the last countermeasure we're going to be talking about is using character-specific 6Ps to beat Hayabusa. So the reason this works is because Hayabusa moves forward and the hitbox for Hayabusa is on the upper part of Kum's leg at first. So character-specific 6Ps can duck under it and still get you a counter hit. So the way to use your 6Ps against Hayabusa is to use them in a way that is going to beat the Hayabusa either when Kum releases it, or if they're just doing the very quick versions, to beat it preemptively. Like that. Alright, so that is just about all I had for this video so far. I'm probably going to do a follow-up to talk a bit more about some more advanced things to react to, like if they're FDing or other ways to get around Hayabusa, and probably the overhead version as well. That's a fun one. So I'll probably put those out a little bit later, hopefully before Evo. We'll see though. Alright, thanks for watching.